You know I love me some good old Kroak-G, especially when he's foot slogging it old halberd style. Yeah, he makes a pretty decent infantry lord, although he does have access to some nice mounts. Carnosaurs are kind of underpowered even still in the current meta, largely. So actually to take him here on foot against the Ogres makes a lot of sense. Let's take a look at this build here from Slappy Lizard, old friend of the channel, returning to the game here, giving his old namesake Lizardmen another run here, getting back into it with the Star Chamber Guardians protecting. I actually had completely forgotten, I don't know when this got added, but the Eternal Duty passive gives Star Chamber Guardians unbreakable and also gives them fear, right? They cause fear when they're in the presence of a lord and hero, friendly lord and hero. So, yeah, Kroq-Gar gonna be juicing them up as they protect him with Guardian, Feral Carnosaur, some Saurus Spears, no shields, very interesting choice, and some Javelin Cohort as well, Lore of Heavens. Definitely nice to see. We'll also see a lot of Lore of Beasts, but honestly, Heavens is pretty good, especially against the Ogres. You can't guarantee they're going to take a Horde of Gnoblars, which often Ogres players will right now, but this one is just, yeah, melee Horde of Gnoblars rushing in. The line of Pigbacks behind Gnoblars. We've got the Regiment of Renown here, old Goldbag, plus Brag, and a Firebelly, and a Thunder Tusk, so quite the variety of stuff. But let's get it in cinematic mode. As there's the, Rev Crystal there in the center getting in. Carnosaur immediately overextends and is going to get absolutely brutally beaten down by the Ogre's single entities going, man, 4v1 here maybe? 3v1 at least. Yeah, Carnosaur not long for this world, disorientated. I did get a nice chain lightning out of it, though, cutting through those piggyback riders, who are then going to kind of route through it. A little bit unfortunate there, but Kroak-Gar here in the front line, fighting on, trying to help protect the... well, let's see where he engages. Yeah, it looks like the Star Chamber Guardians are going in the back line, getting straight after this kind of dense block of value here with the characters, single entities. Kroak-Gar is also going to move in to try and engage there as well. Nice... lightning burst there. And the Pterodon Riders with a Skink Chief in the sky. You don't see Skink Chiefs mounted in the air too much, but one notable thing about them is they have an absolutely insane amount of ammunition with a total of 82 base. So they will continue firing basically the entire game. And we'll have to check back on the value after, but right now those Pterodons are in a beautiful position, just firing from on high, sending their poison javelins down onto the Pigbacks and everything else below. You get a nice bead on those man-eaters' backs as well. But taking a look at this important single entity fight here, Star Chamber Guardians absolutely holding their own in a fight. You can see the Ogre single entities are all kind of spread out and each individually like fighting halberd groups. Kroak-Gar and Goldbag gonna get a duel going here. Both of these characters kind of designed to kill each other to a degree, right? Goldbag with his anti-infantry dual hand weapon loadout, and Kroak-Gar with his spear does count as infantry. The one big advantage Kroak-Gar has here, well, a few things. Number one is he's got the support of infantry, and not only that, the Star Chamber Guardians, which are some of the best halberds in the game. And then he also gets a beautiful Curse of the Midnight Wind here, debuffing the armor, and more importantly, the melee attack. Goldbag just gets hit successively here by Kroak-Gar and gets basically 0 hits in return. So part of that is also very good dice rolls, but generally, that's just how things go sometimes. Slappy here definitely putting things in his favor with all that ability usage there. And Cold Ones, Carnosaur comes back from route with their support. It's going to do okay against the Thunder Tusk. Certainly will be better. But yeah, Lizard's taking a fairly decisive and quick. I mean, granted, they both did take heads-up rush builds, so it's not too surprising to see. But this might be game relatively quickly here. In which case we'll have some nice post-analysis, but yeah, I don't think Ogres are going to be coming back from this. Yeah, we see the Thunder Tusk there getting pummeled. The Carnosaur does have some ranks, which it came with, right? Rank 4, which will give some extra leadership. I forget they actually built in this tooltip now that it shows directly what you get from the ranks, which is quite nice. But anyway, yeah, relatively quick victory for Lizard, but I still wanted to show that to you guys because it made me very happy on a day when I definitely needed it. I always appreciate the support from you guys, and, you know, I always appreciate old friends coming back and submitting awesome battles for me to peruse with my pleasure. And this was definitely one where Kroak-Gar himself, I think, even fully kept out on foot. He's only like 1,500, so this is pretty cost-effective for him. And then the Star Chamber Guardians go burr, also almost 3,000 damage value on them, 15,000 damage dealt. I mean, they're really the true MVPs of this for sure. But of course, Kroak-Gar does synergize with them quite well, right? He's basically like a halberd lord. You take him on foot, so makes sense that he'd do well with a unit of halberds, basically, as his bodyguard. A very kind of tabletop-esque too, right? Where you'd actually like attach a character to a unit. And yeah, it would be cool if we could see something like that. Maybe, I'm not saying for Total War Warhammer, but I don't have any inside information, but plenty of people have speculated that maybe we'll get something like 40k in the future. I don't know, it does work a little bit differently on 40k tabletop, but I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Let's talk more about this battle. So yeah, I mean, from the Ogre Kingdom side, it definitely seems like he didn't expect sort of the staunch Saurus, and definitely didn't have a great answer for the Star Chamber Guardians themselves. Had the Thunder Tusk been able to get like a good engagement on them, obviously the shock damage of like a side or rear charge, timed with like, you know, some AoE damage maybe from Burning Head, could have done something, but as it was, even though the Carnosaur kind of got thrown there, he was a little bit of a distraction, helping to kind of get the Thunder Tusk away. And then, yeah, this didn't quite follow up like it needed to stick with this other single entities. And ultimately, Kroak-Gar, really with that halberd support, like the single entities of the Ogres didn't go 3v1 on him effectively, so he ends up doing quite well there. But yeah, from the Lizardmen's perspective, yeah, I mean, Kroak-Gar, you can see, I was kind of taking a look, I was like, man, he's got to be very cheap. I didn't 100% see if he had everything there. I don't know, I didn't catch a Hand of the Gods, so it's possible he didn't have that, in which case it was 100% cost effective. But yeah, generally pretty good, pretty cheap. I mean, cheap Halberd Lord can be good in some matchups, but definitely against the Ogres is a pretty obvious one where just generally having anti-large is quite good. You know, a little bit of low sort of initiative or agency, I guess, depending on how you put it. With the lack of speed, just being an infantry lord, but hey, they got to come fight you at some point. I would say that build seems like it could be a little bit vulnerable to like a very dedicated, like not Iron Blaster. What's it called? The Lead Belchers. I'm forgetting my Ogre units today. Yes, the Lead Belchers here definitely could give a build like that some trouble, so be aware of them. Yeah, Lizard's answers to Lead Belchers, it's a little bit tricky, right? Like, definitely having some mobility, even like the, you know, the Feral Cold ones, having a little bit of them on the side to potentially pressure can be a cheap distraction, definitely. These guys are slow enough that your skink infantry actually can catch them. Yeah, 46 speed compared to the Lead Belchers. Yeah, 42 speed only, so especially once they hit their charge animation, skinks should be able to apply pressure. So like a little bit of a wider build could be good, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, it obviously was quite effective there, but definitely just thinking, you know, future-proofing this build against the Ogres. Definitely something to consider for sure. Like, the Pterodons do give you some pretty consistent DPS over time, but the burst damage is not going to be super high. They're also something that could potentially maybe fly around and distract some Lead Belchers, but I'd be curious how long it takes them to actually kill Lead Belchers up close. Skink Chief is an interesting one. You don't see him super often because, again, it takes quite a while for him to deal his damage, but 82 ammunition, in theory, is insane. Doesn't have a lot of damage, obviously. Pretty low armor-piercing damage in particular, but against Ogres, a lot of their characters and others are going to be a little bit on the lower armor side, or something like Lead Belchers. Like, let's see here. This is 115 plus 35, so yeah, pretty good. How much HP per model? Oh gosh, if I bust my calculator out real quick. My mental math is not it today, so if we do, what, like 49, 28 divided by 16... yeah, like 300 per model, so it's gonna take this guy, yeah, like 3 shots probably to kill, depending on the armor rolls. They do have 50 armor, which means they could be mitigating up to half of that damage. So yeah, 3+ shots to down at least one of their unit models. Keep in mind, only has a 4-second reload time, so this guy, again, is not gonna quickly tear away models, but it is an option. Especially on the Pterodon, right? Tearaway models, get it. He is a little bit more expensive than just bringing another unit of Pterodon riders, but depending on like the rule set, you know, if you have enough space for flying skirmishers, you could do something like that and definitely still get away with it. But that's obviously going to cut into other areas of your army. One thing I would say is generally Carnosaurs, like I said, are pretty poor. Even though they are an anti-large monster, they're just generally not very cost effective. And the Rev Crystal, again, can be good if you're planning for a long game. You know, you can get some extra healing out of it, but generally, actually there, I might say take the Solar Engine, honestly. Again, to contest against the Lead Belchers. It is a little bit more expensive, so again, you'd have to find some funds somewhere. Things are getting very expensive very quickly, but yeah, Solar Engine might be a good option to consider there. Or, I mean, having at least one source of terror is pretty important, I do feel. So even just having like a cheap Barrel Bastillodon or something would allow you the option to take a little bit more width. But it's definitely interesting, you know, interesting matchup for sure. I do like the pick of the cheaper Saurus Spears here, though. There's not a lot of skirmish damage that you need to be worried about, and like the extra melee defense, plus 6 melee defense is probably not worth the extra 50 gold here, and just having the cheaper Saurus Spears. But yeah, something like this, honestly, not look too terrible, but Star Chamber Guardians, add them in, and we're definitely rocking. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, though. That's going to be it for me for today. If you did enjoy, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.